versus the Ryback and Paul Heyman on a handicap match in Hell in a Cell. Then we get our World Heavyweight Championship match, Alberto Del Rio, the current champion, versus the returning John Cena. Then we get our main event, Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship in a Hell in a Cell match. Well, we've heard potential spoilers down the line. You know, the buffet of backstage info for Hell in a Cell is either a method of misdirection or a glimpse inside of the planned results for the pay-per-view. As reported by F4W Online via WrestlingInc.com, a script has been leaked, but could just be a dummy one. Still, curious fans will find it hard not to score this possible sneak peek of the show's direction. The report says that someone in WWE Creative suggested a few weeks ago to have Big Show tear the cage door off, leading to a finish. You know, it's no surprise that Big Show will play a part in the event's main event. He's been featured on Raw in a big way in recent weeks. The idea that he ultimately decides this match is apparently a possibility being discussed. Would Big Show knock out Orton or Bryan, though? About Curtis Axel and Big E Langston title bout. A aforementioned report says it's not scheduled to be a title change. This comes as a surprise as Langston has the momentum heading into this match, and WWE has not highlighted Axel as a champ all that often. Of course, decisions like this can change until right before the superstars head to the ring. You know, the tag team match has officials discussing whether or not they have the Shield win back their titles or else keep the belts on Cody and Goldust until around the Royal Rumble time, at which point Dustin Rhodes, not Goldust, would turn on Cody, leading to a brother versus brother at WrestleMania 30. Well, neither the idea of the Rhodes brothers staying champs or those even two facing each other would eventually is not a surprise. Having Goldust wrestle as the persona he worked with in WCW would be odd. You know, WWE fans know him as Goldust, but it appears that the company is thinking that the name change would emphasize the brother aspect. As for the main event of Hell in a Cell, Bryan fans will be like, what F4W Online report had to say. The idea was suggested to have Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella leave the pay-per-view as double champions, being the power couple. Bryan has been chasing this title for some time now, and this would be certainly a big moving moment. It's no safe bet, though, that he'll be chanting yes by the end of the night. WWE could be throwing folks off with these backstage whispers, or perhaps Bryan, Langston, Brie, and Rhodes boys will indeed end the night in celebration. But let's go ahead and move on to our predictions, shall we? For a kickoff show, Curtis Axel versus Big E Langston. I'm going to go with Big E Langston on this, and I'm going to tell you why. Though it goes against the backstage reports, Langston winning here is a strong possibility. A title change that would thrust Langston forward, making the most of his recent babyface turn. He could then battle Axel in a rematch before diving deeper into his feud with Heyman's crew. You know, title defenses against a man who is recently in the main event scene would be beneficial for the perception of the championship. Axel has held onto the belt since mid-June, getting some added attention along the way. It's Langston's turn, though, to utilize the championship. Then we get Los Matadores versus the Real Americans. You know, WWE's residents, bullfighters, will win their pay-per-view debut. There's no doubt about it. You know, after a number of wins over 3MB, Los Matadores need a signature win on their resume. They can get it here with El Torito helping to keep Zeb Coulter at bay, and the comic relief match would be a short one designed to highlight Fernando and Diego's arrival. It will also likely ignite the feud between these two teams, and that is why I am choosing the Los Matadores to win. Our Divas Championship, though, AJ Lee versus Brie Bella, I'm choosing AJ Lee. No surprise here. You know, Brie has pinned AJ several times recently when the title wasn't up for grabs. And that has the smell of an even Steven. Booking where the wrestler who loses leading up to the pay-per-view gets the win come the night of the event. Having Bryan and the night as champions has a certain emotional renaissance to it. But WWE hasn't been hinting at that. Their relationship hasn't been all that emphasized recently. On Monday's night's Raw, it was hardly mentioned. In fact, the company were heading for Brie winning here to stand alongside her fiancé. It would have planted that possibility in our heads more. And the lack of foreshadowing and AJ's dominance points to the champ retaining. Next, we get our tag team championships. Cody Rhodes, Goldust versus The Shield versus the Usos. My pick here is going to be Cody Rhodes and Goldust to retain. You know, the Rhodes brothers won the championships less than a week ago, and taking them away so soon would it would be taking away the significance of that victory. Bet on this bout to have chaos, near falls, and surplus, and Rhodes and Goldust surviving. This team is too hot to dethrone already. The longer they are champs, the more powerful the eventual falling out will be. And the Rhodes boys are the safest bet of the night, and this match is the most likely to steal the show. The story between these teams and how often Rhodes, Goldust, and the Shield have hit home runs recently point to the latter. Then we get CM Punk versus Ryback and Paul Heyman in a Hell in a Cell match. You know, CM Punk and the Heyman saga has to end eventually. Many, myself included, have incorrectly predicted that this feud would end sooner than it has, and Ryback inserted himself into it at Night of Champions, and it continued. Punk got a win, but a non-decisive one at Battleground. The Hell in a Cell setting offers the ideal place to end this feud for good, and it's hard to escalate a rivalry beyond Hell in a Cell. Expect Punk to finally get the revenge he's been seeking for months. Heyman is sure to have a few last tricks to try and evade his computants, but WWE has to give the fans the satisfaction of Punk winning out at some point. This appears to be the best time to do so. Next we get Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship. My pick here, John Cena. You know, the focus of this world title bout has been on Cena returning, and WWE showed a career retrospective and provided a look into his recovery from injury. And there's a lot of triumphant moment to be had here with Cena's return, ending with him holding the world title. And you know, he'll no doubt come out of this battle drained and favoring his recently repaired arm, which Del Rio will no doubt target. That's when Damien Sandow's cue to make himself famous. A Money in the Bank cash-in here would be the equivalent of a gut punch to Cena's fans and puts nitrous boosters on Sandow's career. WWE gets an instant feud and a chance to see how Sandow fares in the spotlight. My choice, I want John Cena to win, and I want Damien Sandow to cash in, and that is how I'm really going to be planning out. And really, if I was the booker, that's how I would book it. But you know, moving into our main event spotlight, we get Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan with special guest referee Shawn Michaels in a Hell in a Cell match. You know, Big Show will play a huge role as expected, but look for guest referee Shawn Michaels. You look at him. Now, I'm going to tell you, I think Randy Orton's going to come out the winner, but just look at the referee guest, Shawn Michaels. You know, I'm thinking it is a very expected heel turn on Bryan and cost him the win. During the Orton vs. Bryan contract sign, Triple H assured Orton Shawn will do what's right. Triple H glared at Michaels, looking as if he was trying to silently remind him of a previous pact. You know, WWE has played up Bryan and Michaels' connection, but it makes sense for the one between Triple H and Michaels to win out. With Survivor Series next on the pay-per-view docket, you know, Triple H orchestrating another scheme against Bryan leads directly into a Rebels versus Authority tag match. Big Show could even be convinced to turn on Bryan if he's promised his job back. Despite how glorious of a moment it would be to see Bryan win and keep the title for a long time, signs are pointing to him ending up the 0-1 record inside Hell in a Cell. Well, that was it for our WWE report, and that is really our big Hell in a Cell preview. That was a very wonderful, well done Hell in a Cell preview, I might add. We've got so much to look forward to, and what happens? What's going to happen at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view? But, I guess the answer is we'll just have to wait and see. We will. But, if you go to worldwrestlingnews.com/interactive, we will have complete live coverage there. Free premium live coverage. Did I mention it was free premium live coverage? Well, it is. Also, we will have the kickoff live stream in HD right there. worldwrestlingnews.com/interactive, and of course follow us on Twitter at WWrestlingNews. Alright, well, let's talk about our indie scene. What's going on the indie scene? What's going on in TNA wrestling right now? Well, as we mentioned earlier in our ringside report, TNA wrestling followed through with the storyline plans that we first reported on this week's episode of Impact. After beating Bully Ray in a rematch for the TNA title, AJ's turned down Dixie Carter's contract offer and walked out as champion. We ran the story prior to Bound for Glory about a major swerve that would end TNA Bound for Glory. And, reporting the idea was to put Styles over Bully Ray at the pay-per-view and have him leave the company. It was described to me as an attempt to try and recreate what WWE did with CM Punk a couple of years ago. And the plan, when we first uncovered it, it was for Styles to defend the TNA title outside of TNA. And we heard from Wrestle One Promotion that they were interested in assisting, but TNA had also reached out to New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it was clear that TNA wanted the title to be defended in Japan. That's really about it, and that's really all the further updates we have on AJ Styles leaving with the TNA title. Really, that's going to just about do it for our indie report. But, we're going to take just a quick break here, and you can listen to our sponsors, and of course, also the following ad, 30-second ad, is very exclusive and important. Also, remember to check out the PWR show Prime Time every Saturday night live in Prime Time. Just like to go live tonight in Prime Time. Just check them out. They give a lot of great input and a lot of great opinions. A great team there. I subscribe to them on YouTube at PWR show. They just do a great job. And check them out because it is very, very interesting. Pro wrestling news as well.
GLCW is back with Shenanigans Friday night, October 4th at 7:30 at Turner Hall in downtown Milwaukee with a special show to benefit the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. See Al Snow, Tommy Dreamer, Joseph Park, Robbie E., the Headbangers, Armando Estrada, ODB, and more, including a steel cage match, a ladders match, and a tables match. Don't miss it! Get your tickets online right now at blizzardbrawl.com and we'll see you at Shenanigans on Friday, October 4th.
Welcome back to The Score. Remember, check out pwrshow.com and, of course, go to Shenanigans on that day. Well, it's time for some announcements here. We would like to announce to everyone that we have updated our privacy policy and our terms of service settings on worldwrestlingnews.com, so if you haven't, please check those out. Well, next week's episode of The Score, what and when is it going to be? Well, it's going to be about the Hell in a Cell Aftermath. It's gonna be a special. It will mainly focus on the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view Aftermath. It will touch into some Raw, and